Both players mentioned at 9 and 2. Even with a loss, it's possible for them to top 8, but for Dykman, it's hoping, like I mentioned, he was on table 1 last round, picked up a loss, trying to avoid 2 straight losses. He wins the die roll and starts turn 1 with Aether Vial.
Winning the die roll is definitely good, and he has a setup where he could potentially get an early Arbiter, use this Ghost Quarter as a strip mine.
Serum Visions from Caleb finds a copy of Baral. Top cards are Manamorphose Gifts ungiven, and yet Caleb's going to double top there.
Yikes.
I mean, why not? That's exactly where you want to be.
That's the makings of a turn 3 win.
Yeah. See Caleb's hand opt, Pyretic Ritual, Grape Shot, Baral. There's a ton to like here. Another Aether Vial, the third Aether Vial from Steven. Well, we'll see what he can put together.
That's really heavy on Aether Vial in most matchups. This one, those really aren't going to play.
Yeah, I'd assume he drew the third one that he you know, kept 2, shrugged, and then drew a third and said, well, this stinks.
The two Ghost Quarters are nice if they're going to combine with an Arbiter. You really wish you were just casting Thalia in this matchup, though. You do get the Violet in. You should have time to put it in on the 3rd turn, which is often in time.
So here's the Baral from Caleb. So the only removal Steven has is that Path to Exile. I suppose he could Flicker Wisp it. Well, actually, he doesn't have double white.
Yeah, once he gets the Vial up to 3, you can start making interesting plays around it.
Ghost Quarter and Eldrazi Temple are his lands. He does now have Leon and Arbiter to go with that Ghost Quarter, so he can start attacking Caleb's mana, and he might be forced into doing just that.
And here's a white source. That's big. He means he can do both.
Yeah,
Arbiter and Thalia.
Cast Leon and Arbiter, Ghost Quarter away the Shivan Reef. Caleb cannot search, and put Thalia into place. So that's a lot of protection. The Thalia and Baral basically cancel each other out.
Right. You end up in a spot where your cards just have the mana cost as printed.
Now, Caleb, to his credit, does have a Grape Shot, and you might see just a mini Grape Shot here to clear the board.
Yeah, you might even end up with a turn 4 win if you just Grape Shot away the Thalia. Dykman's other land is Eldrazi Temple there. That's not a second Ghost Quarter, so Caleb should have access to the requisite mana to go off if he can be Thalia-proof.
Pyretic Desperate Ritual. Storm count is 1, brings Caleb up to 3 red mana. He says, yeah, the Baral and the Thalia.
If he has enough rituals,
Cancel.
He can put himself in a spot where he can Grape Shot the Thalia and maybe even combo this turn.
Yeah, he can win through this. I like how clean Baral is as an answer. Cancels out the Thalia, and then is a 1-3 to her 2-1. Caleb using his own token there. Second spell's Manamorphose, 2 blue into red, draws a card. Another Manamorphose on top.
So now he has enough Storm where he can Grape Shot away both of the creatures.
Yes, he could Grape Shot away them both, and then actually, because he still has 1 mana left over, has the wrong color of mana. I was going to say if he had double red, he could Grape Shot and then start Manamorphosing up again. He'll cast Sleight of Hand.
Yeah, being able to cast a cantrip and help set up for next turn is nice, though.
Sees Goblin Electromancer and Sleight of Hand on top.
Both of these things you can have too much of.
Right. Going to go ahead and Sleight of Hand into another Sleight of Hand. And then it looks like he'll end with a Storm 4 Grape Shot. He's hoping to find another land to keep going. He did not. So Grape Shot on 4 will go ahead and do 2, 1, and 1. Clears the board. And Caleb will swing for 1.
Makes it even easier to combo off those Baral beatdowns.
Okay, but no land for Caleb. We'll go back over to Steven. He sets Aether Vials to every number. He knows he wants them at 3 and 2. Does he want 3-2-2 or 3-2-1? He only has 1 card in hand. It doesn't really matter.
Reasonable chance he'll be sacrificing this Horizon Canopy, so you do kind of want to keep 1-on-1 in case you find, say, your Thraben Inspector.
Blade Splicer. He's got 1 more card. Might have been Thraben Inspector that he drew. So very much rewarded. And yeah, it is the 1-drop.
He'll need to find something nice. He can upkeep Violin, Flicker Wisp, get rid of Baral for the turn cycle.
You think he wants to Violin in the Inspector and crack the clue?
If he finds a 2-mana creature, that'd be really nice. You could also Violin, Flicker Wisp and get rid of the Baral and after a couple rituals have been cast, maybe put Caleb in a bad spot that way.
So Steven just passes the turn. We'll go back over to Caleb. He leads on Sleight of Hand.
Actually, the card must, I think it's Blade Splicer. If he doesn't have Flicker
Yeah.
Wisp, he
No,
doesn't
he
really
has-
have
he
play.
has Blade Splicer.
Okay, yeah. So he kind of needs to draw into that.
Caleb going to go ahead and grab a Ritual. He chooses it over Manamorphose. So that spell 1 was the Sleight of Hand. Spell 2 is the Desperate Ritual. Yeah, Steven's real hope here is to draw a card either off the Thraben Inspector or the Horizon Canopy and to hope that card does something.
Right.
File in on 1. Here's Thraben Inspector. Makes a clue. Cracks the clue. Draws a card. Let's see if he finds any way to interact or whether Caleb has free reign. Draws. Looks like Eldrazi Displacer. So Caleb's doing his thing.
Yep, that's not going to do it. Even like a Leonin Arbiter could potentially be good against Gifts Ungiven.
Storm is at 2. Caleb's at 3 red. Manamorpho spends a red. Gets 2 blue. Storm's at 3. Caleb draws. Draws into another Baral. Well, that's a miss. And Caleb might be, yeah, he's not.
Does
not
get
home
the
free.
Gifts Ungiven. Yeah.
Yeah, so he Gifts Ungivens here, and if he leaves up red mana, I think he's fine. He gets Ritual, Manamorphose, Past in Flames, and I don't. Well,
At the very least,
yeah.
he'll be set up for next turn.
Yeah, you can set up for next turn. That's the general. You like to think there's a lot of things that they Gifts Ungiven. The 4 red cards pile, which I described, is usually what they get in this deck.
Yep.
And that's what he'll do. And you're right, this might be a setup for next turn. If Steven puts the Manamorphose and the Past in Flames in Caleb's hand, then he cannot combo.
Yep, you're a bit shy unless you draw into something off the Manamorphose.
Right. And that's what he'll do. The Rituals in the graveyard. He's trying to deny mana. Makes sense. Caleb will go for it. Here's Manamorphose making red-blue, drawing a card. Storms up to 5, draws Serum Visions.
Even if he misses, he already had the Opt. He has some cantrips he can cast, which should set him up for next turn.
Casts Opt down to just a single red floating. Storms at 6. Top card, he'll scry to the bottom, draw, and is the turn done? It's Grape Shot, it might be.
Could just Grape Shot for 7 if he was so inclined. Doesn't make a huge difference either way.
Yeah, he'll pass. Steven will Violin a 3-mana spell. Could be Blade Splicer or Eldrazi Displacer, and with that Eldrazi Temple in play, he actually does have a Displacer activation. So he'll put the Displacer into play.
Unfortunately, he does not have the mana to displace the Inspector and crack the clue.
No, he's going to be short on that account, but he's still forcing Caleb to try to put together a combo.
Vial's up to 2, 3, and 4, so he can Vial in a Restoration Angel. If Caleb just kind of bricks, Dykman might be able to assemble some lethal attackers, but it's really unlikely that he bricks that long. I believe Leonin Arbiter was picked up. You wanted that to interact with Gifts Ungiven. Not likely to play from here.
So crack Horizon Canopy, draw a card. Didn't get a good look at it just yet. Looks like a land.
If it's a Ghost Quarter, it's a nice land.
Yeah. Mana Denial's great. It's an Eldrazi Temple.
Quite a bit worse. Frequently better, just not here.
Here's the swing with both. Caleb does have a pretty free block on the Thraben Inspector.
Gotta imagine you'd make that block.
And he actually just takes the full 4.
And at 1 point, it's really not swinging things.
Draws a Manamorphose for Caleb. He'd really like a land. He'll start with Manamorphose, spell 1. He's so close to just having a combo.
Yeah, Ritual or land should get him there from here.
Yeah. Just mana. Gets red, blue, draws. There we go. Shivan Reef is a land. That should be good.
Yeah, that's the green light.
And now he'll cast Past in Flames. Spell number 2. He still has that Shivan Reef up, and you see Caleb knows it too. Everything in his graveyard has flashback. Let's start making some mana. He's going to cash in his red rituals first. So Pyretic, that's spell 3. Looks like 3 Desperate Rituals in the graveyard that he could use. So
plenty of red mana, a couple mana Morphos as well.
Yep, each one adds 2 thanks to Baral. So up to 5 mana, 7. His counters up to 5. Mana Morphos. It's up to 6, gets blue, draws a card. It's a land that's not going to do much. And he actually has Grape Shot in hand, Grape Shot in graveyard, so he can go ahead and just win right here.
Yep.
Grape Shot in graveyard is the 8th.
It does not even need the Gifts Ungiven. Plenty of Storm available.
Yeah, Storm 7, so 8 and 9 will work. Grape Shot U for 8, Grape Shot U for 9.
Unsubstantiate my Grape Shot as well.
Okay, more Grape Shot.
Yeah, Grape Shot U for like 30 or something.
Shake of the head by Steven. Had some plays, got the Thalia. Baral, pretty good counter for it. This is just going to be tough. Now, he's going to go to the sideboard to look for more interaction here. We'll be back with game number 2 in a short break.
Go. Go.
So we're back here, round number 12. Steven Dykman and Caleb Scherer facing off here, both 9 and 2. The Storm deck for Caleb Scherer, the Storm token himself, he takes game 1. We go ahead and look at the sideboards. I want to start first on Steven Dykman's sideboard because game 1 it really felt that he had a lack of interaction. He had his Thalia and it just really wasn't enough. So the big catch is going to be at the top of his sideboard, a full 4 copies of Relic of Progenitus.
Yep. And that one's going to fight the graveyard, fight over the Past in Flames, kill. That's all reasonable. Rest of the stuff, you have Stony Silence, no thank you. Blessed Alliance, nope. Burned Forge Tender can counter 1 copy of Grape Shot. Going to pass on that. Phyrexian Roker doesn't play. There's a small argument for Dismember. It's a lot of life, but you do want to get those mana creatures off the table.
So with 4 Relic of Progenituses, I think that Steven can actually stop a Past in Flames kill. My concern in this matchup is that he has so little removal for the Electromancers and Barals that if Caleb just lands an uncontested mana creature, Caleb can build up cards in his hand and actually just win out of his hand. So if that's the plan, Dismember makes sense to me.
Yeah, that all tracks. It does make you easier to Grape Shot.
That's true. And That could be a concern. Now, on Caleb's side, he has 4 pieces of the puzzle, 3 Lightning Bolts, 2 Giga Draws, 2 Empty the Warrens, 2 Shattering Spree, an Engineered Explosives, and a Wipe Away. So I know Lightning Bolt's going to come in. It's an all-creature deck. The questions I have for you is this an Empty the Warrens matchup? And does he want Engineered Explosives or Wipe Away?
I don't think it's an Empty the Warrens matchup. Typically, you're going to reserve that from when your opponent is casting counter spells or discard of fells. You can go wide. I just don't think it's good enough in the matchup, and you're probably pretty capable of grape shotting. It's also a matchup where grape shots Plague Wind, so you probably just kind of stick to that. Wipe Away, you might play. It's hard to cast in Thalia, though, and that's kind of the biggest problem, so probably not.
We see an Aether Vial turn 1 again for Steven, and for Caleb, he's going to set up with a cantrip at Sleight of Hand. Lightning Bolt and Pyretic Ritual. I'm actually interested to see which way Caleb goes with a decision like this. And it's for Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, having some Lightning Bolts in hand, there's just going to be a good tool. You want to keep any Thalias off the battlefield. In some spots, you want to make sure that you're not under pressure from a Leonin Arbiter.
We'll go back to Steven. He has a turn 1 Aether Vial, which is where he wants to be. Now we'll see if one of those 4 Relica Progenitus show up. Looks like no. Caleb's second land and a pass. No mana creature. That's got to be good for Steven. Yep. I don't think this is the type of matchup where Caleb would, like you see against the Grixis Shadow, even when he draws Barals and Electromancers, he doesn't play them on turn 2. In this matchup, I feel that he'd just run them out if he had them.
Right. Yeah. At the very least, it generally is going to accelerate your mana if they path to exile it. Unless he has a hand that somehow you have land drops lined up and it just looks really easy to go off in one turn. But if that's true, you're probably good to set up 2 into 3 anyway.
Steven, another Eldrazi Temple. Remember, those are just for the Eldrazi Displacer in his deck, and now is actually inconveniencing him. He's 3-drop in hand as a Flicker Wisp, which he actually can't cast.
Typically, you're going to want to Violet it in anyway, but he doesn't have anything on the battlefield yet, so
yeah,
not really advancing the board.
Caleb will opt, keeps the card on top and draws. And you see on his face, he's just calm right now. This game, that if there's no threats on Steven's side, this is where Caleb wants to be. Checks his hand size, thinks, okay, I have 7, we're good.
Yeah, don't need to discard.
He actually has sideboarded in pieces of the puzzle and declined to cast it this turn just because he didn't want to discard.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that play makes sense. I'm actually surprised that he brought in pieces of the puzzle. I guess he's planning to play a drawn-out game.
If you expect Graveyard Hate, then Pieces is one of your better answers to that.
Just because then you need to build this large hand to combo out of?
Right.
That makes sense. Steven will cast Thraben Inspector, gets a clue token. His Vial sits on 3.
It's also a matchup where sometimes you just are going to have to mini Grape Shot, and Pieces is really good at resetting you from there.
Now here we might have an interesting turn for Caleb. He drew a copy of Baral. So it means that he can Baral into Pieces right now, which would keep him at 7 cards.
He has a fistful of rituals, too.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to combo this turn, he can Pieces, or he could just try to combo, and I think the second might be happening. Here's Baral, Desperate Ritual. Let's get those counters out again.
Yeah,
this might be the turn.
I'm not seeing what would stop him from trying to combo. Dykman's just got that Vial on 3, not much else going out. You can Flicker Wisp away the Baral. Caleb can cast a bunch of spells in response to that, though.
Yeah, I do like the play. It means that Caleb would have to spend that last Shivan Reforth of mana. It might knock Caleb off of blue mana to cash in those rituals. And we'll see that play exactly. Steven's going to Flicker Wisp in, targeting Baral. And Caleb, he's fine. He's going to make another Desperate Ritual. And in response to that, we see Path to Exile on the Baral.
Okay, that's going to hurt Caleb a little.
Yeah, he still got a discount of 2 off the Baral this turn, 1 on each of those rituals. So the Baral was really mana neutral.
Yeah, it's all about card economy, but Caleb's not even that in that bad of a spot there anyway.
Right.
Until Dykman puts a Relic of Progenitus on the battlefield, until he draws that card, Caleb's still in a good spot with these cards in his graveyard.
So Path resolves, Caleb gets a basic. I mean, if he doesn't want to combo this turn, Caleb could just Manamorphose, cast Pieces of the Puzzle, and move on.
Yeah.
Now, it's a bit of card disadvantage because he's making too much mana for that play. You see he's about to get 6 red. For those counting, though, Storm currently at 4. Those 2 rituals, the Baral and the Path to Exile, all playing.
And Manamorphose, Maybe if he like draws into another mana creature off the Manamorphose, he might still have enough stuff to still combo from here. Yeah, he has that redraw there. Also, this is just Manamorphose into pieces is a lot of looks at Past in Flames for next turn. Yeah, Dykman's going to need to do more than this.
Yep. 3 red. The other ritual resolves up to 6 red. All right, we get to keep going. And Dykman's actually had 2 pieces of interaction, and Caleb is still working. 5th spell is Manamorphose. He'll get 2 blue. And now Caleb has to decide if he's going to try to combo.
Well,
I was going to say if he wants to combo or pieces, but if he draws a Baral here, I think that decision's made for him. Here's Baral, spell 6, 4 mana floating. Let's do everything. Here's pieces of the puzzle. Only has to spend 2 mana on it. That's 7th spell for the turn. 2 red floating. He is out of blue unless he finds a Manamorphose. He has boarded in empty as you see these top 5 cards. But, Ryan, he has a Lightning Bolt, and now I got to do some math. I guess he can't cast them. I was going to say if he can Bolt Grape Shot, if we're getting into lethal range.
I think we're a bit shy. This is kind of an unfortunate flip. He'd like another ritual. He's a mana shy of casting that Empty the Warrens.
Yeah.
You might see him reach for double
2 Serum
cantrip
Visions,
just to go off next turn.
That's exactly what I want to do too here. I mean, he has built a big storm this turn, and it hurts to put that down. But I like what Caleb did. He's playing the cards that were dealt to him on the piece of the puzzle.
Yep, he'll have a lot of looks at Past in Flames again on those, and if he maintains the Baral, he'll have plenty of mana to go off.
So he still has these red mana left, so he can play 1 or both of his removal spells. We'll see what Caleb does. Looks like he's going to Lightning Bolt the Thraben Inspector, and then Grape Shot 1 to Flicker Wisp, and all the rest to Steven. So it's 1 and I believe 8. Steven will drop to 11. Yep, and then Caleb passes.
So Caleb did leave 1 damage on the table there.
How is that?
So he Lightning Bolted Thraben Inspector, which deals 3 damage to a 2 toughness creature.
He goes upstairs with the Lightning Bolt.
It's just another point.
Yeah, there is one. You're right.
Now, this is not a deck that plays in inches. I think it's unlikely you're going to see Caleb go off for exactly 10 damage next turn.
Yeah, I agree.
But, you know, it could happen.
It can happen. And in a matchup like Death's Shadow, that actually does matter more for Caleb, where you do exactly kill them.
Yeah.
In this matchup, I think Caleb's trying to hit really a Past in Flames, and if he does, he'll have more damage than he needs.
Right, and against Shadow, sometimes you do purposefully leave damage on the table.
Yeah, that matchup has so many dimensions. So back to Steven. His board was swept. He did crack that clue with the remaining 2 mana. So he has, I believe, 3 cards to work with as he rebuilds. But he's got to get more pressure down. There's an uncontested Baral yet again. He draws off Horizon Canopy. He has a pair of Land and Arbiters. And really, he can cast 1 of them.
And they're not great here.
No, he can use this Ghost Quarter while Caleb's tapped out to knock him off a land. And he might want to do just that. Go ahead and take care of Steam Vents.
Yeah, Caleb's hand is very light here, so denying those lands.
Yeah, Steven has perfect information, actually. Caleb's own hand is just 2 cards, and they're both Serum Visions.
Yep.
Draws Lightning Bolt. Now, with that Lightning Bolt, we got to start watching for the value kills. Looks like Caleb drew Unsubstantiate off the first Serum Visions. Here's the other Serum Visions. First one scryed 2 to the bottom. Something blue, top card, Sleight of Hand, and Snow-Covered Island. Tops off that, plays a land. Assume Sleight of Hand on top, other on the bottom.
Yeah, hand's pretty weak now.
Yeah, bolts Unsubstantiate.
Can't even chip in with the Baral because of that 2/2.
No, Thalia picked up for Steven. That's going to be a Lightning Rod for Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's
See,
not
that's how
gonna
that
be long.
works. See, that's why you have a Lightning Rod.
Yeah, I get it.
Really, Steven needs to find a Relic of Progenitus soon, because until he does, Caleb is 1 Gifts Ungiven away from winning.
He's a Past in Flames away from winning.
Yeah, Past Flames away. I guess I did the next step already. Past Flames or a Gifts Ungiven for the Past in Flames. Another Aether Vial for Steven. That'll be fine. And there's Thalia. You wonder, do you think, is it Caleb's going to have to bolt the Thalia, or do you think because he already has Baral in play, he might just want the bolt to go upstairs?
I don't think he has the information to make that decision just yet.
So he just won't cast.
Exactly, yeah, he has time. And you can see it going one way or the other. It's not a pressing need to go after Thalia.
Sleight of hand finds Manamorphose. And I guess because the spells in hand don't cost colorless mana, there's really no reason to get rid of Thalia yet.
Yep. So here's another turn where Dykman's drawing to Relic.
Yeah. Still would be a huge hit. He plays a full 4. Instead, his draw is a lot worse. It's a second copy of Thalia. With the legendary creature, that's not going to do anything.
Caleb a little rewarded for not bolting the first copy there.
Yeah. Though Flicker Wisp appears to be in Steven's hand, so he has one tool with that Vial set on 3. Arbiter swings in. There just still aren't good attacks for Steven. Caleb can keep blocking. Steven, no choice, he just makes another Arbiter. So now he finally, after 3 creatures, has a source of damage on the table. But it's not exciting from Dykman's side. He's giving Caleb way too much time.
It looks like Caleb declined to block. Giving respect to something like a Walking Ballista that I suppose could be in the deck.
Sure.
He has life to play with, so it's fine.
End step, Caleb is going to Lightning Bolt the Thalia. So if Caleb does not untap and try to Storm here, this is going to be a misstep on his side.
He has a Manamorphose that he picked up, so it looks like he's thinking it's go time. Hoping to draw a good card. He's cried a bunch of cards to the bottom.
Yeah.
Saw some cards he didn't care about, glanced over with that pieces of the puzzle. So he has 2 draws on the turn. Many of the cards in his deck do control the top of the deck from there.
And it looks like Steven may want to try to save Thalia, but the issue is that we're on Steven's end step. So even if he... So see, yeah, what he's going to do is he's going to Flicker Wisp the Baral, meaning it's going to leave... Or would, Caleb was going to unsubstantiate his own Baral. I like, actually, this whole exchange for Steven. I feel like Caleb is spending his cards on things that don't matter right now. And the more that happens, the more I like it for Steven.
It's a speculative play by Caleb, but if he finds the combo pieces, he wins this turn.
Well, he drew Goblin Electromancer, so that's not really going to do anything. What I do like is with this Baral and the Electromancer, you see you cast Manamorphose for 1.
Yeah, that'll cancel the Thalia.
Yeah, once you have Baral and Electromancer, you don't even need to answer the Thalia. You just do your thing. Caleb makes both mana creatures. Now, he's out.
Yep. Really just drawing to Past in Flames now.
Yeah, but if he does, it wins. Steven trying to draw to Relic. He has more Relics than Caleb has Past in Flames. And he now has a real source of damage on the board with that Flicker Wisp, so things are fine for Steven.
Yeah, that is a 4-turn clock.
He's going to swing the team.
A little bit faster because these Arbiters are probably connecting some number of times.
Baral, they block both Arbiters, and the Electromancer actually trades away with the Arbiter, which means Steven's Thalia is going to do something. Yeah. Not much. Puts Caleb down to 9.
And because he knows the Thalia is coming back, I'm not sure I like the trade with the Electromancer there.
Well, he didn't know about the second Thalia. That one was unknown. The first one actually died.
Oh, right, yeah. The unsubstantiate.
And Manamorphose from Caleb. Let's see. Red, blue. Draws. It's a land. No, sir. He'll play it. Pass. Going to take...
Deck has a lot of misses.
Yeah, I mean, really, though, he's only taking 3 damage a turn. Despite the fact Steven with this 3-creature advantage, he's not well positioned to make attacks. So Caleb puts Caleb to 6. Shrug.
Yeah, the Flicker Wisp is still good. But, yeah, it's still much prefer to have Relic.
Yeah, he still needs to dodge that Past in Flames draw. Or one of the 4 Gifts Ungiven. If it's this following turn, Gifts Ungiven will win. On the next turn, I'm not as sure.
Modern Classic players, your round 4
it's a lot of mana.
Online at parents.starcitygames.com and are making their way to the pairing board shortly.
4 mana, Restoration Angel, targeting Flicker Wisp. I believe Steven's doing this on his own end step.
That's a heads-up play.
Yep. And now with 6 power in the air, Pyretic Rituals run from Caleb. He is going to brick out, and we're going to go to a 3rd game.
Yeah, missed on a lot of redraws, but that is going to happen sometimes.
So Steven Dykman evens things up. And I want to point out, he did that without any of his 4 sideboard Relic of Progenitus. I think Steven could get this.
Yeah, if he draws any of those, Caleb's not winning a game like that, not even in a game like that.
No, we'll be back with the game number 3 after a short break. So just 19 minutes in the round remaining. We're going to have a third and final game here between Caleb Scherer and Steven Dykman. It's a pretty big match right now. We're in round 12 with a 90-player day 2 here. Everyone's 7-2 or better. You really would like to get another win.
Yes. Caleb's on the play. That's where he wants to be on these matchups that have very light interaction, though. Looks like on 6 cards.
Yep, starts off with Sleight of Hand. And picks a land, puts pieces of the puzzle to the bottom. Fair enough. Looks like he already has 1 pieces in his hand. And the one thing I find with the pieces of the puzzle draws is they're strong in the deck, but you can't find lands off it.
Right, and a matchup that involves this many creatures on the other side of the table, you don't always have time to just cast those on running turns.
No Aether Vial this time for Steven, and no Relic. He's kept a hand with lower power. I would assume he has a Thalia if he's going to keep this.
Yeah, like no Thalia and no Arbiter would be really weird this turn.
Right, between those cards in this matchup, like Relic, Thalia, Aether Vial, I feel like you have to have one.
Maybe he's just leaving up Dismember or Path. Yeah, he's just passing with the second planes.
Yeah, he had both Land and Arbiter and Thalia, but is choosing to pass. And Caleb just passes back.
Misses his 3rd land.
He had a Manamorphose in hand. It looks like Caleb could have tried for the land, but he chose not to. And Steven, he'll take advantage of it. Here's a Ghost Quarter in play. And I'll see if he makes Arbiter or Thalia. Yeah, he's going to make Arbiter. That's going to put a lot of pressure on Caleb's mana. Caleb will unsubstantiate the Arbiter. It makes sense. Now draw. There's an island. Pieces of the puzzle for Scherer. This does mean he's going to lose one of his lands to that Arbiter.
He was hoping to find some rituals, but did not find those.
No, he finds another pieces, Empty the Warrens, Remand, Sleight of Hand, and Lightning Bolt. So he's got all sorts of options. And he'll take Empty the Warrens and pieces of the puzzle. He took the most expensive spells when he knew his opponent had Arbiter Ghost Quarter.
Yeah, it's kind of forcing Dykman into that line on this turn.
Yeah, I mean, my worry from Caleb is what if Dykman has another Ghost Quarter in hand? Just goes, Arbiter Quarter. It's...
Your other cards don't stop that, right?
Okay.
Like, they're not... There's nothing you have that's good against that, so you might as well take the high-risk line. If he has some rituals... There's a lot of situations, most of what Dykman has can't stop you from making a good number of goblins.
And you look at the front of Steven's hand, he does have exactly that, the double Ghost Quarter Lane and Arbiter. It's real tempting.
And we've already seen a turn where Caleb missed a land drop.
Yeah. Actually, I am correct, it's Eldrazi Temple, so we're only looking at 1 Ghost Quarter. That really does change things.
Yes. Do like hitting that Spire Bluff Canal.
Sure.
You kind of want to set up Thalia on this turn, though.
Yeah, you'd like to do both. Also, once you start on that plan, Steven has at least 1 Path to Exile in his hand. It's really at odds with the Ghost Quarter Arbiter plan. I guess, unless, I suppose it's fine because you have Arbiter in play. So maybe Path is just great.
Yeah, that's a combination.
Thalia, Eldrazi Displacer for Steven. He's going to let Caleb untap with this mana. Caleb draws Spiral of Canal as land 4.
That is not the land you wanted. Because of Thalia, ritualing into an empty turn, not easy.
3 mana, he will just Grape Shot away the Thalia, play a tap land, and say go. I like the line from Caleb. It's underwhelming, but it's one of those lines where you recognize that it is and you accept it anyway.
Yeah, you get in so that Dykman can't untap and use the Displacer to defend the Thalia.
Right.
Unless something worse happens this turn, you're set up for maybe an Empty the Warrens turn next turn.
You need a big empty to win on this board. Eldrazi Displacer is no joke at dealing with some empty tokens.
Yeah, it gets multiple activations. I want to say Caleb has a Lightning Bolt hanging out.
Okay.
So we could use that to chain and get some rituals, get an Empty the Warrens, Lightning Bolting the Displacer first. That could convert to a win.
Land an Arbiter from Steven. Ghost Quarters away that Spirebluff Canal. And passes. Leaving up that Displacer activation. Caleb will draw. It's a copy of Baral. If he makes the Baral, though, Steven has Path to Exile at the ready, and Caleb will not be able to pay.
Yep. Just going down, it's like really good Swords to Plowshares.
So Caleb will cast Pieces of the Puzzle. Finds a Ritual, empty, Grape Shot, Pieces.
Gotta figure he's interested in that ritual if he wasn't doing anything this turn.
Yeah, Ritual Grape Shot seems like the best way to go, and that's what Caleb will take. No land here, but he can pass.
Wants to fade Ghost Quarter here.
Yeah, and this is where Steven needs... I mean, he's got a lot of damage. His clock's good, 5 per turn. But you have to watch out. Caleb can just win out of hand. There's no Thalia in play. So just swing for 5 to put Caleb down to 12.
With the Grape Shot and an empty, Caleb has enough rituals. He can set up to both Plague Wind and then make a bunch of goblins.
Well, the Plague Wind is somewhat protected by Displacer, but let's see what happens. Caleb drew another ritual this turn. He has a lot of mana to work with.
Yeah, you get to clean up the Displacer unless Dykman has a Restoration Angel.
What I'm interested to see is whether or not Caleb will try for the Baral first. And it looks like he won't. Here's Manamorphose, and that's smart on his side.
Yeah, when you're light on lands, you kind of just have to start ritualing. He does have the setup where if he's just going for empty, just casting a few rituals gets you there pretty easily. Picked up Baral off the Manamorphose. Gotta figure an untapped land even would have been better than that, though preferred hit is a ritual, of course.
Right, so here's Baral. Pyretic Ritual. Now Steven will, with the Ritual on the stack, he'll path the Baral. Caleb can't search. There's the Arbiter in play, but the Pyretic will resolve.
But with that, though, that Path to Exile, that's adding to Storm. That means Caleb can make more goblins or go off for more Grape Shot. Yeah,
Storm's at 4, and you see Caleb's fine with this. Storm now up to 5 red mana at 4. He's going to empty the Warrens for making 12 goblins.
One of them will be displaced right away here.
Yeah, I don't even know if 12 goblins is not going to deal 20 damage.
No, it does buy him some time.
Yeah, that it does. And he'll pass. Steven's going to, I assume, go to work on them. Restoration Angel, actually. Sure.
Yeah, flying attacker. You can't break through on the ground for a little bit of time, so that makes sense.
Steven draws. It's another land. So with all his mana here, Steven can displace, looks like 2 goblins a turn.
You can mow them down pretty quickly, though. They will cover the ground for the foreseeable future while Caleb tries to set up for a big Grape Shot.
Yep. And now that he has Restoration Angel, Eldrazi Displacer, Caleb can't remove Steven's creatures anymore.
Right.
So land from Steven, you can see in thought here, he wants to figure out exactly how to race. He'll swing for 3, Caleb to 9. He can block 2 goblins and displace 2 goblins a turn. So with that in mind, I think that Steven shouldn't be worried about losing the race. I think he's got the race right now.
To the goblins.
To the goblins.
Right.
Plays another Arbiter, passes.
Some repeals in the hand for Caleb.
Caleb has repeal. That's going to be really hard to convert on this board.
Yeah. No non-creature permanents, and all the creatures are pretty good at getting out of the way.
Yeah. You can repeal your own goblin token.
Which would be displaced in response.
Yeah, it's not great. All right, Caleb says go to attacks. He's got to be careful of how many he actually wants to attack with. He could lose on the crackback. There's just no way that this is such an interesting attack, right? So if he attacks too much, he loses on the swing back. If he doesn't attack at all, then making this grape shot lethal is very difficult. So it's a value-oriented attack. And finding the right balance of those two, that's difficult.
Right. So there's just 3 good blockers here for Dykman.
Okay.
He has Eldrazi Temple up, but that's his only colorless source. Right now he can blink 1 creature,
yeah.
but he can do 2 on his turn if that's where he wants to be. He's just going to make the blocks. Caleb kind of wants that temple to get tapped here so that he can use the repeal on the token that it targets and actually convert that into a card.
Yeah, so what happened is Steven just blocked 3 goblins. He took 5, dropped to 14, and said, okay.
Yep.
Baral from Caleb. Repeal from Caleb on a goblin token. We'll see if Steven displaces that one. He might.
Yeah, if I'm Caleb, I kind of want to wait to see if Steven does that end step.
Exactly. I'd want to do that now. Yeah, I'd wait until Steven does an end step and do it in response. Don't give Steven this option.
You're not even forcing a decision with the Horizon Canopy because Dykman just has mana for both of those things.
I agree. Looks like Steven's thinking about casting the card in his hand. It's Path to Exile. He'll take care of Baral.
Yeah, you do want to keep that one off the table.
And also, because Caleb tapped down to 1 mana, he doesn't even get a land for his trouble.
Magic players, this is a last call to sign up for the 1 p.m.
Did find a Serum Visions, though.
All right, so he can go to 8 and cast the Serum Visions. He's going to have to win. Caleb only has 1 more turn, really.
Yep.
Here's Serum Visions, draws into a land. That's not bad, and a Desperate Ritual.
There's a Past in Flames in hand, so
yeah.
Got to do some math on that.
So next turn he can make 1 land drop. So I think he can top this Desperate Ritual. His most mana is to make the land he drew, the Desperate Ritual, try to Past in Flames from there. Is it enough is a really good question. And if it isn't, you see Caleb's going to figure out, does that win?
Right. Land Ritual gets you to the requisite mana to start casting rituals after you Past in Flames. How many of them are there? How much consequences can be reduced from that?
Right.
I believe 1 Grape Shot's in the graveyard.
You know, with Steven having no cards in hand, if I have my Storm math right, and I'm sure, I think this Ritual on top is good.
It looks good. And the amount, even if it's bad, the number of cards that are better, it's very small. Ooh, and he leaves a land on top as well. He makes the land drop return here. And then next turn he gets to draw into that land off of a Manamorphose.
And go over to Steven.
Restoration Angel's still a good flyer. If there's a colorless land in hand, I think he's actually, is he shy on lands of triple activation anyway? We have 1, 2, I think he's 1 land shy even with the land. If it's a Eldrazi Temple exactly, I think he gets it.
That would be lethal here?
Yeah.
Because he has, yeah, you're right.
Double activation plus Path to Exile would do it. Dismember would do it.
Well, let's see. Okay. Place 1, 2 goblins for sure. Yeah, you're right. Displaces 1 goblin, swings.
Tyler Holiday from Commander number 9.
And I like this from Steven. He's forcing the blocks, and now he can use this Horizon Canopy as well. So Caleb takes 5. He drops to 3. And Thalia, the draw from Steven. Ryan, that might have just done it.
I think that seals it.
A huge draw from Steven Dykman, and the Thalia will defeat Storm. He improves to 10-2.
Yeah.